Hello everyone, in this lecture of network programming, first I will discuss about the reference model of networking, that is OSI reference model and TCP/IP reference model. Before going to start OSI model, first I will give you a brief introduction of computer network, its goals and motivations. It is an interconnection of two or more autonomous computers that are linked together in order to share resources. These resources may be software resources and it may be hardware resources. Software resources means files and folders we can share, and in case of hardware resources we can share printers, modem and fax machines. We can share application softwares like MS Office. It allows electronic communication. It increases productivity, that is makes it easier to share data amongst users. A computer network includes the network operating system in the client server machines, the cables which connects different computers and all supporting hardware in between such as bridges, routers and switches. In wireless system, antennas and towers are also part of the network. Computer networks are generally classified according to their structure and the area they are localized in as local area network. The network that spans a relatively small area, that is in the single building or campus, is known as LAN. Metropolitan area network, the type of computer network that is designed for a city or town, is known as MAN. Wide area network, a network that covers a large geographical area and covers different cities, states and sometimes even countries, is known as WAN. The additional characteristics that are also used to categorize different types of networks are: number one is topology. Topology is the graphical arrangement of computer system in a network. Common topologies like a bus, star, ring and mesh. Next category is protocol. The protocol defines a common set of rules which are used by computers on the network that communicate between hardware and software entities. One of the most popular protocols for LAN is the Ethernet. Another popular LAN protocol for PCs is token ring network. And the last category is architecture. Networks can be broadly classified as using either a peer-to-peer or client-server architecture. Before designing a computer network, we should see that the designing network fulfill the basic goals. We have seen that a computer network should satisfy a broad range of purposes and should meet various requirements. One of the main goals of computer network is to enable its user to share resources, to provide low-cost facilities and easy additions of new processing services. The computer network thus creates a goal environments for its users and computers. The computer networks thus creates a global environments for its users and computers. Some of the basic goals that a computer network should satisfy are: cost reduction by sharing hardware and software resources, provide high reliability by having multiple sources of supply, provide an efficient means of transport for large volume of data amongst various locations, that is high throughput, provide inter-process communication amongst users and processes, reduction in delay driving data transport, increase productivity by making it easier to share data amongst users, repairs, upgrades, expansions and changes to the network should be performed with minimal impact on the majority of network users. Standards and protocols should be supported to allow many types of equipments from different vendors to share the network. Provide centralized distributed management and allocation of network resources like host processors, transmission facilities, etc. The open system interconnection model is a set of protocol that attempts to define and standardize the data communication process. We can say that it is a concept that describes how data communication should take place. The OSI model was set by the International Standard Organization and it is now considered the primary architectural model for intercomputer communication. The OSI model has the support of most major computers and network vendors, many large customers, and most governments in different countries. The OSI model describes how information from a software application in one computer moves through a network medium to a software application in another computer. The OSI reference model is a conceptual model composed of 7 layers, each specifying particular network function, and into these layers are fitted the protocol standards developed by the ISO and other standard bodies. The OSI model divides the task involved with moving information between networked computers into 7 smaller, more manageable task groups. A task or group of tasks is then assigned to each of the 7 OSI layers. Each layer is reasonably self-contained so that the task assigned to each layer can be implemented independently. This enables the solution offered by one layer to be updated without affecting the other layers. The OSI model is modular. Each successive layers of the OSI model works with the one above and below it. Although each layer of the OSI model provides its own set of functions, it is possible to group the layers into 2 distinct categories. The first 4 layers, that is physical, data link, network and transport layer, provide the end-to-end services necessary for the transfer of data between 2 systems. These layers provide the protocol associated with the communication network used to link 2 computers together. Together, these are known as communication-oriented layers. The top 3 layers, that is application, presentation and session layers, provide the application services required for the exchange of information. That is, they allow 2 applications, each running on a different node of the network, to interact with each other through the services provided by their respective operating system. Together, these layers are known as data processing oriented layers. The protocol data unit at application layer, presentation layer and session layer are known as data. The protocol data unit of transport layer is known as segment, and the protocol data unit at network layer is called packets. At data link layer, the protocol data unit is frames. Frame is nothing but the collection of packets. One frame size may be greater than or equal to 1 packet. And the protocol data bits at physical layer is known as bits. Now we'll discuss about the responsibilities assigned to a particular layer in brief. That is, application layer provides the services to the users. Presentation layer is responsible for translation, compression, encryption, and the session layer is used to establish, manage and terminate the sessions. Transport layer provides reliable message delivery from process to process. Network layer responsible for moving the packets from source to destination. It is used, that is, data link layer is used to error-free transfer of data frames, and physical layer provides a physical medium through which bits are transmitted. Now we'll discuss about the responsibilities of each layer in detail. Application layer. The application layer is probably the most easily misunderstood layer of the model. This top layer defines the language and syntax that programs use to communicate with other programs. The application layer represents the purpose of communicating in the first place. For example, a program in a client workstation uses commands to request data from a program in the server. Common functions at this layer are opening, closing, reading and writing files, transferring files and email messages, executing remote jobs and obtaining directory information about network resources. Presentation layer. The presentation layer performs code conversion and data reformatting, that is syntax translation. it is the translator of the network. It makes sure the data is in the correct form for the receiving application. When data are transmitted between different types of computer system, the presentation layer negotiates and manages the way data are represented and encoded. For example, it provides a common denominator between ASCII and ABCDIC machines as well as between different floating points and binary formats. This layer is also used for encryption and decryption. It also provides security features through encryption and decryption. The session layer decides when to turn communication on and off between two computers. It provides the mechanism that controls the data exchange process and coordinates the interaction between them in an orderly manner. It sets up and clears communication channels between two communicating components. It determines one-way or two-way communication and manages the dialogue between both parties. For example, making sure that the previous request has been fulfilled before the next one is sent. It also makes significant parts of the transmitted data with checkpoints to allow for fast recovery in the event of a connection failure. The transport layer, very most important layer in the model. The transport layer is responsible for overall end-to-end validity and integrity of the transmission. It ensures that the data is successfully sent and received between two computers. The lower data link layer is only responsible for delivering packets from one node to another. Thus, if a packet gets lost in a router somewhere in the enterprise internet, the transport layer will detect that. It ensures that if the 100 MB data sent from the sender, then it must ensure that the total data has been received. If data is sent incorrectly, this layer has the responsibility of asking for retransmission of the data. Specifically, it provides a network independent, reliable message interchange services to the top three application-oriented layers. This layer acts as an interface between the bottom and top three layers. By providing the session layers with a reliable message transfer services, it hides the details operations of the underlying network from the session layer. Network layer. The network layer establishes the route between the sending and receiving stations. The unit of data at the network layer is called a packet. I told you previously, it provides network routing and flow and congestion functions across computer network interface. It makes a decision as to where to route the packet based on information and calculation from other routers or according to static entities in the routing table. It examines network address in the data instead of physical address seen in the data link layer. The network layer establishes, maintains and terminates logical and or physical connections. The network layer is responsible for translating logical addresses or names into physical addresses. The main device found at this layer is router. Data link layer. Data link layer groups the bits that we see on the physical layers into frames. It is primarily responsible for error-free delivery of data on a hub. The data link layer is split into two sublayers, that is logical link control and media access control. The data link layer handles the physical transfer. Framing means the assembly of data into a single unit or block. Flow control and error control functions means transmission in the event of an error over a single transmission link. It is responsible for getting data packaged and onto the network cable. The data link layer provides the network layer reliable information transfer capabilities. The main network device found at the data link layer is bridge. This device works at a higher layer than the repeater, and therefore is a more complex device. It has some understanding of data. It receives and can make a decision based on the frames it receives as to where it needs to let the information pass, or can remove the information from the network. This means that the amount of traffic on the medium can be reduced and therefore the usable bandwidth can be increased. Physical layer. The data units on this layer are called bits. This layer defines the mechanical and electrical definition of the network medium, that is cable, and network hardware, that is network interface unit. This includes how data is impressed on the cable and retrieved from it. The physical layer is responsible for passing bits onto the receiving them from the connecting medium. This layer gives the data link layer its ability to transport a stream of serial data bits between two communicating systems. It conveys the bits that moves along the cable. It is responsible for ensuring that the raw bits gets mechanical and electrical characteristics of the cable. This layer has no understanding of the meaning of the bits, but deals with the electrical and mechanical characteristics of the signal and signaling method. The main network device found the physical layer is a repeater. The purpose of a repeater, as the name suggests, is simply to receive the digital signals, reform it and retransmit the signals. This has the effect of increasing the maximum length of a network, which would not be possible due to signal deterioration. If a repeater were not available, the repeater simply regenerates cleaner digital signals, so it doesn't have to understand anything about the information it is transmitting, and processing on the repeater is non-existent. An example of the physical layer is RS-232. Each layer, with the exception of the physical layer, adds information to the data as it travels from the application layer down to the physical layer. This extra information is called a header. The physical layer does not append a header to information because it is concerned with sending and receiving information on the individual bit level. We see that the data for each layer consists of the header and data of the next higher layer. Because the data format is different at each layer, different terms are commonly used to name the data packets at each level. The OSI protocols. The OSI model provides a conceptual framework for communication between computers, but the model itself is not a method of communication. Actual communication is made possible by using communication protocol. In the context of data networking, a protocol is a format set of rules and conventions that governs how computers exchange information over a network medium. A protocol implements the function of one or more of the OSI layers. A wide variety of communication protocol exists, but all tends to fall into one of the following groups. That is LAN protocol, WAN protocol, network protocols, and routing protocols. LAN protocols operate at various LAN media. WAN protocols operates at the lowest three layers of OSI model and define communication over the various wide area media. Routing protocols are network layer protocols that are responsible for path determination and traffic switching. Finally, network protocols are the various upper layer protocols that exist in a given protocol suite. Information being transferred from a software application in one computer system to software application in another must pass through each of the OSI layers. Each layer communicates with three other OSI layers, that is the layer directly above it, the layer directly below it, and its peer layer in the other network system. For example, suppose there are two systems A and B. A software application system A has information to transmit to a software application in system B. The application program in system A will pass its information to the application layer, that is layer 7 of the system A. In application layer then passes the information to the presentation layer, that is layer 6. The presentation layer reforms the data if required such that we can understand it. The formatted data is passed to the session layer, that is layer 5, which in turn requests for connection establishment between session layers of A and B. It then passes the data to the transport layer. The transport layer breaks the data into smaller units called segments and send them to the network layer. The network layer selects the route for transmission and if required break the data packets further. These data packets are then sent to the data link layer that is responsible for encapsulating the data packets into the data frames. The data link layer also adds source and destination address with error checks to each frames for the hop. The data frames are finally transmitted to the physical layer. In the physical layer, the data is in the form of a stream of bits as we have discussed previously, and this is placed on the physical network medium and is sent across the medium to system B. B receives the bits at its physical layer and passes them onto the data link layer, which verify that no error has occurred. The network layer ensures that a route selected for transmission is reliable and passes the data to the transport layer. The function of the transport layer is to reassemble the data packets into the file being transferred and then passes it onto the session layer. The session layer confirms that the transfer is complete, and if so, the session is terminated. The data is then passed to the presentation layer, which may or may not reform it to suit the environment of B and send it to the application layer. Finally, the application layer of system B passes the information to the recipient application program to complete the communication process. Now I will discuss about origin of TCP/IP and internet. Before going to discuss the origin of TCP/IP and internet, first I will explain you about some prerequisite concepts like what is communication, early methods of communication. In early days, humans used some symbols like flags to indicate some other persons, like telegraph, postal services, etc. Then I will discuss the need of internet, the need of protocol, what problems occurs during communication, and the need of layering in reference models. Okay, now I will start from communication. Communication is the process of sharing ideas, information, and messages with others at a particular time and place. Communication is a vital part of personal life and is also important in business, education, and any other situations where people encounter each other. Communication between two peoples is an outgrowth of method developed over countries of expression. Just as the development of language and the necessity to engage in joint action all plays a part. Communication as we see it today has evolved a long way. We will discuss the primitive modes of communication briefly. Early methods of communication. Early societies developed systems for sending simple messages or signals that could be seen or heard over a short distance, such as drum beats, fires, and smoke signals, or lantern beacons. Messages were attached to the legs of carrier pigeons that were released to fly home. Semaphore systems, that is visual codes of flags or flashing lights, were employed to send messages over relatively short but difficult to cross distances, such as from hilltop to hilltop or between ships at sea. Postal services. The postal systems is a system by which written documents, normally enclosed in envelopes, and also small packages containing other matters, you all know, are delivered to destinations around the world. Anything sent through the postal system is called post. In India, the early India company in Mumbai, Chennai, and Calcutta introduced the postal system in 1766. Further, these postal services became available to the general public. Even after implementing different electronic communication medium, postal system is still one of the popular communication system available. The first truly electronic medium for communication was the telegraph, which sent and received electrical signals over a long distance wire. The first practical commercial system were developed by the physicist Sir Charles Wilson and the inventor Sir William F. Crookes in Great Britain, and by the artist and inventor Samuel F. V. Morse in the United States. Morse demonstrated the first telegraph system in New York in 1837, but regular telegraph service relying Morse codes was not established until 1844. Telegraph would translate the letters of alphabet into Morse code, tapping on the electrical switch or key. The telegrapher at the other end of the line would decode the typing as it came in, write down the message and send it to the recipient by messenger. The telegraph made it possible for many companies to conduct their business globally for the first time. Early devices capable of transmitting sound, vibration, and even human speech appeared in 1850s and 1860s. The first person to patent and effectively commercialize an electric telephone was Scottish-born American inventor Alexander Graham Bell. Originally, Bell thought that the telephone would be used to transmit musical concert, lectures, or sermons. The telephone network has also provided the electronic network for few computers-based systems like the Internet Facsimile Transmission and the World Wide Web. The memory and data processing power of individual computers can be linked together to exchange the data transmitted over telephone line by connecting computers to the telephone network through a device called modem. Computers and Internet. The earliest computers were machines built to make repetitive numerical calculations that had previously been done by hand. While computers continued to improve, they were used primarily for mathematical and scientific calculations and for encoding and decoding messages. Computer technology was finally applied to printed communication in the 1970s when the first word processor were created. At the same time, computers were becoming faster, more powerful and smaller, and networks were developed for interconnecting computers. In the 1960s, the Advanced Research Project Agency, a US Department of Defense, along with researchers working on military projects at research centers and universities across the country, developed a network called the ARPANET for sharing data and processing time of uniform computer connections over specially equipped telephone lines and satellite links. The network was designed to survive the attack or destructions of some of its parts and continue to work. Soon, however, scientists using the ARPANET realized that they could send and receive messages as well as data and programs over the network. The ARPANET became the first major electronic mail network. Soon thousands of researchers all over the world use it. Later on, the National Scientific Foundation helped connect more universities and non-military research sites to the ARPANET and renamed it the Internet because it was network of networks among many different organizations. Today, the Internet is the widely known computer network. It uses interconnection of computer systems by both wired and wireless. A smaller network of computers called local area network can be installed in a single building or for a whole organization. Wide area networks can be used to span a large geographical area. LAN and WANs use telephone lines, computer cables, and microwave and laser beams to carry digital information around a smaller area, such as a single college campus. Internet can carry any digital signal, including video, image, sound, graphics, animation, and text. Therefore, it has become very popular communication tool. Now we discuss the need of Internet. Why do we need the internet? The main reason is that each computer network is designed with a specific purpose. For example, LAN is used to connect computers in a smaller area, and it provides fast communication. As a result, network become a specialized identify. In many cases, these networks do not use the same hardware and software technology. It means that a computer can communicate with the computers attached to the same network because they are intercompatible. As more and more organizations had multiple computer networks, this became a major issue. As a result of the concept of internetworking came into being. This means that there should be a network of all physically separated networks. Protocols. Need of protocols and communication. All method of communication describe follow a protocol. Protocols is nothing but a convention to signify that everything is okay and the train can start by a green flag is also a protocol. When we write a letter, we follow a protocol. If we look at them carefully, we will find that protocols normally have hidden layers. A good example is human conversation over the phone, which can be used as an analogy for communication using computers. Assume that X and Y wants to have conversation over the telephone about a cricket match. We call this an idea. Assume that each person is taking down what other has to say. Thus, the conversation takes place in the form of several messages. A message is a block of sentence. It could also consist of one word such as okay, yes, denoting a positive acknowledgement. It could also mean a negative acknowledgement or a request to repeat such as come again, pardon me. All this happens both ways. At the level of idea, X and Y feels that they are discussing a cricket match. However, in reality, the conversation consists of a number of messages. A message could be too long. It may not be wise for X to speak for half an hour, only to receive a request to repeat. It is therefore necessary to send receive acknowledgement after each sentence like okay, come again, etc. A sentence is analogous to a packet in computer world. The sender X will not speak until he or she hears some form of acknowledgement, or will repeat the sentence if he or she receives a negative acknowledgement. An alternative is timeout strategy. The speaker speaks a sentence and waits for some time for any acknowledgement. If she or he does not hear anything, he or she repeats the sentence. Apart from this error control, we take care of flow control. Flow control refers to the speed mismatch between the listener and speaker. If the speaker speaks too fast, the listener will say, go slow please. In computer world, if the receiving computer is not fast enough and cannot hold any more data, it requests to the sender to wait or control the transfer by slow down. Therefore, in computer communication, both speaker and listener should agree upon on the communication language or syntax, scheme of acknowledgement during flow control, machine error control mechanism, etc.